everyone, and welcome to RezoCast, episode 163. This is Lego, and I've got with me Hove, Wilson, Triton, and we're here to talk about
Nestle the cat.
Yeah, look at that cat, man.
Triton's cat Nestle, for our audio listeners, is all up in the mic right now and webcam, and it's adorable.
He just ate, so now he wants some love. Now he ate.
I have a big concern.
What is your concern, Hove? Is your
Are you jealous
concern
of the new member, the cat?
Yes. Why is the season of the dawn and the dawning, why are they taking place during the shortest days of the year when it is dark and dawn is dark? It's so dark. Why is this
That's
the
a good
season
point.
of the dawn?
Because Season of the Dusk just doesn't sound as good.
But it's not even. It's so dark. It's not really dawn. It's not really. There is a dawn, but it's just.
I do feel like
that's
I
my.
always think of winter and dark together because it gets dark so early and everything. Yeah,
Well, it's because
totally.
winter and dark do go together.
Yeah, you got validity.
That's like thinking. That's like saying that you always think of water and wet together. It's because it is.
I mean, you can think of snow and brightness too. It's just if you're a normal 8 to 5 guy and don't get out during those hours, you kind of miss the daylight.
It's supposed to be 50 degrees here next week, so
yeah, high 40s here.
I'm actually okay with that. We might actually pour some concrete on Monday, so I might be able to make some cash.
Well,
nice.
That's my contribution for the week. I'm out.
Hove's out. Well, my contribution for the week is I am severely hyped with the content that we got this season. I know at first when it rolled around, even I was kind of skeptical, not skeptical of what we were getting for what we were paying. Wilson, we talked a lot about that the other week, but more so skeptical of how is this content going to last us over the course of 3 months, but holy crap, the story content that we got once I got through the quest line for that initial part of the story. Every week we've been getting those kind of quests we got with the queen almost, but it's significantly better in my opinion. This is the best seasonal content I feel like we've ever gotten in Destiny, and I'm really hyped about it.
Yeah, I like it a lot too, man. The obelisk weapons that you can grind for, I've been getting a lot of Jack Queen Kings, the grenade launcher that spits out the fireball on the ground.
What do you think about it? Because you didn't know about it last week.
I was so skeptical of that thing until I saw that it spit fire afterwards, man, and I actually like it. It's aesthetically pleasing. It's fun to use. I got my my PvP weapon, the what's it called? The Komodo, the linear fusion.
Is that the one that shoots spackling paste?
I don't know. I haven't even used it, to be honest. I just put it right in my vault as soon as I got it. I'm not really a linear guy. I did start getting the hang. I started getting some pretty nasty shots with my linear by the time I was closing out with it, which is kind of sad because it was kind of frustrating for the first hour trying to get used to Obelisks and because it's completely different than sniping linear fusions. You kind of have to pre-charge and things like that, so it took a little bit to get used to. Once I got it done though, flew right through it. Flew through the Vanguard weapon, got the sidearm, and I am currently working on Hush and the shotgun because Wish Ender is absolutely broken right now in PvE, so I figured I might as well take advantage of that in Gambit. Get some bow kills in there since it's doing quadruple damage or something, whatever the numbers are. So I said I was gonna take it a little casual. I went a little hard this week.
I was gonna ask about that.
Went a little hard this week. Got a little bit more done than I intended. So right now I'm just focusing on the seasonal event, the Christmas event right now, baking all the cookies, getting all those triumphs and bounties and things done. Totally not AFK farming in the forge right now for Essence. Totally not doing that.
Well, before we get too into it, I was just really curious. What show are we on right now? What do we do here? Where can people hang out with us? And
well, I'll let Triton talk for a second about his week before I jump to. I feel like we're gonna go out of order here. Like I get
We
where you're
are
going.
out of order already. That's what I was.
We are out of order already.
That's
I know.
fine.
I know. Well, no. We can cover that. We are RezoCast, a Destiny themed podcast. We just got cut up talking about our week because for me, I'm just hyped about everything going on right now. Yeah, we talk about Destiny. We talk about other games. We're out of the clan Team Resolute. And we like to goof off some and play games like Word Insertion, where we each have words that someone on the podcast has given us all to try and fit in a conversation somewhere that doesn't mean anything.
At all.
For your
I mean,
enjoyment.
you could try to make it mean something.
We could, but that's like Rezo. Never mind. Yeah, we could try, but I feel like that wouldn't be very RezoCast of us to try at something.
It's unfair, I feel like, but okay.
Train, how's your week been, man?
Week's been good. Going back to, like Wilson mentioned, I did finally get to play a little bit of the content here right before the season. Actually, I think Wilson went out and killed the Undying Mind. Then actually I hung out in Wendler's stream the day the new content dropped, and then got on.
I'm sorry.
I like chilling with Wendler sometimes. I mean, usually in his streams, we could talk a lot of hoops there, so that's cool because I know he's a pretty big hoops guy. Probably said he was bigger football guy than hoops guy, but then also talks a little bit about Louisville basketball. So that was right after they beat Pitt Hove. So it was, I guess we chatted for that for a little bit. And then, I got to play a little bit of the content. Didn't really get much from it, but I did enjoy the event. It was another one of those things where I guess I kind of equated it to the Vex offensive, I guess, at the Obelisk thing. And you just kind of, 6 people, you go through a bunch of waves. And after like 2 or 3 times, I think everybody that was in there with me pretty much got the hang of it. So it was kind of, I'll say easy breezy, but there was like no real issues with that. So I did that for a little bit, enjoyed it. Circling back to my complete disdain for the shuffler system that is in Magic the Gathering Arena, I did figure out that the algorithms in Best of 1 picks from 2 possible hands that you can get. So you draw 7 cards, so you draw 7 cards, then you draw 7 cards, and it picks the one that has the most spell to land ratio, which is completely broken. It's way outside of what Paper Magic is, but that's like the reality of Best of 1. So I've been playing Best of 3 on the ladder, trying to climb the Mythic. And I've been playing a lot of that. I keep playing this guy named Bunny Grunt. No way that person's a listener, most likely, but I'm sorry that I've beaten you so many times recently. I also wish I could tell you that because I just hate playing you.
That's like that person in comp that you like face over and over again
over
for a
and over
while.
again.
Yeah, and you just keep beating them, and you're like, "Why? I hope this guy gives up soon because we're just gonna keep facing them, and they're just gonna keep losing points."
I miss the old D1 rivalries, like friendly ones, like we'd all everyone from the podcast, we would all team up in some fashion over the weekend, and we'd run into some of the same people, and it was a friendly rivalry.
And trials.
My favorite ones were the ones where you don't know who was going to win. Last time you played them, they won. This time you win. Who's going to win next time? It's always this big toss-up. And there was a lot of people that me and Hove played in D1 that we would see week in and week out. And after the game, it was friendly enough that we could like hop into their chat and be like, okay, you guys get this week. You get this week. Like, Apollo, we always ran into.
Yeah, that's
I don't think we ever beat Apollo though.
No, Apollo. He's pretty nasty. So
JK, he's like, the one that comes to mind.
He's
for
like
me.
Foghorn Leghorn. Like he never lost, really, did he?
I think he lost like at everything.
Oh, okay. All right, I'm thinking of
the exact opposite. Otherwise, great week.
Nice. You actually reminded me of something. I was thinking of comp people you play, or you were saying hanging out with Windler, Team Rezo. Also, I got to hang out with Nava Bear this week.
Oh, nice.
Playing some competitive. I know he was getting close to the 5,500, and I saw him tweeting, complaining about the blueberries you get matched with sometimes, where you're like, how did this person even end up in the 5,000 area? And you're like, come on, like help me out matchmaking, like somewhat. And so I knew he was going for that. And Bot has been trying to get to 5,500 again too, because he wants to try to get unbroken. And I've just been in there trying out Hunter now is kind of like my go-to class for now, because I really like all the new throwing knives, as I talked about last week. I'm really enjoying that still. And I've kind of adapted like a new Invis build to running sniper shotgun combo, and that's been really fun and kind of gross sometimes, but really fun. And so I told bot, I was like, I'll play, but I'm just gonna be on hunter, so who knows what's gonna happen, you know. But we had some pretty good games, but we kept having bad blueberries, and I was like, dude, I think Nava's going for it. We should just invite him. And so we invited him, and we didn't lose a single game. Like we lost our very last game of the night, but that was the only game we lost the whole night. So it was really fun. Yeah, went up like 1,000 points. So
Much
it was
success.
a good time. Yeah.
So you going for Unbroken ×2 Lego, or?
It would be my 5th season to get to the 5,500. If I'm at like 5,000 now, so probably. But it's more like for fun. Like I think that comp is a really good place to like really learn a subclass. I feel like, because I'm learning what really doesn't work really fast. I'm like, because I'll try playing with a certain weapon combination and like subclass type on the hunter, and I'll realize it's not my thing, or it doesn't work competitively, because I like trying to do whatever is like a mind game kind of thing. I like the throwing knives because there's a charge up time, kind of like a fusion rifle, and you can predict people coming around corners with it. And I like the invis because it's always fun to mess up people's trackers. And you can group up, and like if you, because at the beginning of every comp match, you're all running together, and if you're communicating, you'll be like, okay, we know when we're gonna split. And right before we split, I just throw a smoke nade down and turn everyone invisible, and then we kind of all go different ways. And so the other team's like, you know, they know it's easy enough to see you when you're invis, but just the sound of hearing the whole other team go invis, everybody's like all of a sudden really nervous, you know, and that's where you kind of
radar either when you're invis.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to track where they're going. Like you have to visually see them, and in that case, they're probably going to engage you. You know.
So. Oh, but with the Donnie Triton, I wanted to ask you about that, because for me, I've been mainly digging the Season of the Dawn story stuff and the Obelisk stuff, which I'm sure we'll get to later, some more of the weapons like Wilson was saying. But I was curious for you, what the Dawn, you mentioned on Twitter the Dawning's one of your favorite events, but they're all kind of like similar. Because to me the Dawning is kind of just like, oh, it's winter themed, there's new stuff in Eververse, which is fine because some of it's really cool. And you can buy a lot of it for Bright Dust, and it's easier to get Bright Dust than it used to be, especially if you're completing weekly bounties on all your characters. That's like almost 1,000 Bright Dust a week. So what is it for you, Triton, that like makes it be like, oh, I kind of enjoy this event?
What the kind of the part I put in there was that I pretty much like them all equally. I think there is a level of excitement every time that they come up that it's like, oh, this is a reason to come back and play. So I pretty much adopt my Lego level of optimism when an event comes out, right? I'm like, oh man, I really want to do this specific event. I don't know, I think it's maybe just the theme around the tower I really enjoy. And honestly, I think last year when the Dawning came out, I really took a lot of pride in the emblem you got that had the amount of cookies you made, or like the amount of things you were able to bake. And I was just like, I really want to do this. So I think maybe last year playing as much as I did, I really enjoyed that aspect of it. But I don't know, the gift kind of thing. I mean, none of the events, like there's not usually a mode. I guess last year, like the Haunted Forest was okay, but I didn't really like love all of that. Crimson Days always seems like a little bit too short. I think maybe it's because the Dawning to me lasts the longest, so it's the most opportunity to do a lot of the things. And maybe also just kind of coincided with the people that were playing. So maybe not event specific so much as the length of time, some of the stuff you get. Like I hopefully have a morning play date with Wilson now to get some Dawning done.
What issue do you have with things that don't last long?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I can talk to you a lot about, about that, I guess. But,
your engagement time on PUBG.
I think for me, it's just I don't have as much time to play. So having 3 weeks, I probably can get a fair amount done, as opposed to, or like the 2 extended weeks plus I'm off, as opposed to like Crimson Days. I feel like that's like a week.
I think it's usually maybe 2.
Yeah, but it's shorter. You're right. I think it's shorter, and it does have an event. It is interesting that this is one of the only ones that doesn't have an event, but it's honestly kind of nice because there's so much to do right now, and I say so much to do. If you're going for these particular things, there might be or not be so much to do. But it feels like I almost don't have something to be disappointed by or get tired of really fast. Like the Haunted Forest or like these other events, you like do them once or twice and then you're kind of like, oh, okay. Even the Sundial. I've only done the Sundial one time still because the quest only requires you to do it once, and then everything else you do is just these other random find this bounties, which I like, by the way. And I like too, Wilson, I don't know if you noticed, but the quest for this week is kind of keeping up the same like the same kind of quest line from last week, where you have to go find stuff on a certain planet, and it kind of makes you like explore a little bit. I don't know if you liked that, but I
did up until the tangle on Nessus, and I wasted like an hour and a half of my life before finally getting into PC
the lost
text
sector.
chat. But it had a cool ending. So I'm sitting there, I'm looking around, and I'm looking, and another guy comes, and another guardian, and pretty soon there's like probably about 4 to 5 of us there.
Awesome.
And we're all looking in the same area, and finally I hop in text chat, and I'm like, does anyone know where this is? Asking for a friend. And this guy waved me down with his emote, then typed in chat, "It's this way, follow me." And then I rounded up some other people that were looking around, and we all followed this guy, and he took a group of us and showed us where we had to plant that little transponder. And I had the hug emote on, so I gave him a hug.
Perfect.
And like he gave me a hug back, and then we all bounced out, and I was like, man, thank good. Like, other platforms need this text chat. They really do. Even if it takes you a while to do it on like a console or something, like the ability to be able to ask somebody that, but like I see why they don't. But like it's for little things like that it was actually something was being used for its intended purpose, not just to talk shit. You know what I mean? Like
yeah. And you were, I feel like as you were telling that story, I thought you were gonna be like, and he led us to the middle of nowhere, and it was nowhere to be found.
No, I went back afterwards to see if there were other people, and I was gonna do that. Somewhere completely different because you know I feel like it'd be the toxic thing to do. So and then like eventually be like, okay, for real, this way. And then I imagine like half of them would be like, nah, screw this guy. Like,
it's awesome.
Yeah, I thought it's funny you say that because I thought about doing that, going back and trying to get more people and be like, yo, follow me, it's this way, I found it.
Yeah.
But I thought that's kind of what he was doing because you have to go down into that area where the strike begins. You know what I mean?
It's confusing.
Go way underground. So you see it on the map, and you think it's on the surface of the planet. You know what I mean? But you actually got to do a little spelunking, a little cave diving.
It had me for a good 15 minutes. I was like, where is this thing? You know, but I kind of like I don't know. You know, I knew I could have gone to YouTube at any second, and I just didn't because I wanted to just find it, you know?
Same. And it's not like you're looking for a sperm whale. You're looking for a small circle behind, you know.
You know, there's lots of sperm whales. Chuck E. Cheese.
Not true. They got rid of that animatronic.
I don't think that's true.
You've never been to the Chuck E. Cheese in Santorini, have you?
They got banned for that a long time ago, Hove.
Dude, the place was always such a good time. Real talk. It was my first hustle in real life was at Chuck E. Cheese.
What? Was it like a Craigslist thing?
No. Okay, first of all, that's weird. I've
had some weird Craigslist deals. This was
at Chuck E. Cheese.
This was before people even had the internet.
Okay.
So when I was a little kid, I used to sit at the top of the slide in Chuck E. Cheese at the ball pin and be like, 1 ticket to go down the slide. And like, if the kids didn't give me a ticket, I wasn't like, hey, you little shit, like, give me a ticket. But like most of you'd just be surprised, like, hey, 1 ticket to go down the slide, and kids would be forking over tickets, dude. And they'd come right back, give another ticket. I had to hustle. I wasn't walking away with those. I wasn't walking away with those crappy little like extendable fingers thing, dude. No, I was going for the big prizes.
That is a hustle, man. You're like a mob boss in there.
I'm saying, dude, you want to go down a slide? Give me a ticket.
Well, my week was good. That's all I'm going to say about it. Since
I can't tell from your.
Did you?
Well, because
it's good, and you're not going to go into detail. Did you get
no?
Because McRib is back, isn't it?
I wasn't asked, but I do just want to say one other thing. We also right now are live every 9 p.m. at Thursday. Thursday at 9 p.m. is when we're live. Twitch.tv/Hove76. I just wanted to throw all that out there since
9 p.m. Eastern.
I wasn't allowed. I'm done.
You're not allowed unless like specifically given permission to talk on the podcast anymore.
Yeah, what you're saying is the McRib isn't back.
McRib's stupid. It is.
Well, you know
it's
it's
terrible.
not stupid.
You just make
Okay.
a statement like that and gloss over it. Do tell. Why is the McRib stupid?
I don't know. It's dumb.
No, for real. Like what? Because it doesn't. Is it because it's boneless? And it doesn't feel like legit
and Hove
ribs?
likes it bone
Because
in.
it's probably not even real meat.
He does like a good bone.
I don't.
It's it's meat.
Mm,
It's probably just not the
and bone. It probably has bone in it. It's just ground
It
up.
might.
the No, I was never a fan of the McRib either. To be honest,
'Cause
it
it's
always did.
awful.
It felt like it should be called the mystery McRib.
Mm.
The McMystery. Sorry,
Wilson, I gotta talk to you about something. And Hove and Triton. I don't know how far both Hove and Triton have gotten in the story stuff. But Wilson,
that's
you've done
important.
both. You've done both weeks, I know, because you were talking about the like trailer that plays at the end of the second one.
Mhm.
Or not. That's the wrong word for it, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, no, totally.
So I just think like the way that I don't feel like we've had it feels like at the end of every week, you know, with the Queen, you would go and do something and they would just kind of show you something sometimes, or sometimes she would like give you a sentence basically.
Mhm.
And then at, you know, every once in a while there was a special week where there was something really big. Eris Morn is same thing. It would kind of just like show you like one scene of something that happened to her fire team or something like that. And this time with this season, it's like, no, you get a whole mission that's not just some small mission, but it's like, to me, every mission has been better than, you know, that mission everybody liked with Tolan leading you to Bad Juju. Like, I think it's better than that every week. And it, not only that, but this is the first time, especially this week's mission. Well, two different things. One thing, the way that you get to interact with an NPC during a story mission, I know it's still on the low key level, but it's way better than the beginning of Destiny 2, where Zavala is just like, "Quick, get in my bubble!" like 3 times in a row,
And then he
Should-
dies.
You know.
Should we decide? Are we doing a spoiler-free episode this week, or are we going into the story thing?
So it's tough. That's what I wanted to talk about because Triton, and maybe you can answer this, like how far, because I don't know if you've done the quest to get you to any of the story stuff yet.
Well, I mean, even if I didn't, I feel like there's not.
I would say with the progressing story.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
that's what I'm
is-
wondering. I'm wondering if they have it set up to where, because every previous season, this is something that really bugs me about the story content that I hope that they end up fixing, is that if you miss a week, you can't get that story until the following week, and you're a week behind continually. You can
For
never.
real? That's
catch
how
up.
it is? For real?
That's how it
to
used
be.
to
I don't know
be.
if it still is.
Oh, okay,
That's what I
because-
wanted to know.
Well, because I jumped in on Monday and I'm like, yo, Tuesday,
Well,
I got to get this done so I'm not behind. So I can
Hasn't
talk
it
about on
changed?
Tuesday.
Like with the Queen stuff, wasn't it just whatever week it was, that's what happened? It was with the
No.
Drifter stuff.
The Queen stuff was when you were a week behind continually, no matter what.
It was a rotating weekly thing with her.
I thought it was
right?
it was just when the curse was hot strongest or whatever, and then whatever happened.
Yeah,
that
but
week-
if you
Did you about to
miss,
say the hottest? The curse
I don't
is the hottest?
think it was. I think with
it
the
wasn't okay.
I don't think so. It was the Drifter, like the with
Oh,
his
it was
stuff.
the Drifter. You're
where
right.
I think it was the Drifter. The Queen just every 3 weeks that week had a specific thing that happened. So they've done it both ways, sort of.
Okay. Well, that's good. And I think you might be right because if I'm playing on a different subclass, I have the old quest still to do. And so I think you can experience the mission several times. So yeah, I mean, I feel like at this, if y'all are okay with it, it's okay for us to talk about spoilers for a few minutes here.
Well, like I said, I think we kind of with something like this, I think you kind of have to because
Yeah.
it'd be really hard to go. Oh well, what happened this week? But what happened last week? We can only talk about last
Right.
week. You just got to do it. Like it's.
You just got to do it. Yeah. So, yeah, the first week I was super impressed with the way that mission was, because we like meet Saint 14 and we meet and we get to see you know, a scene of him like in action, but well, not really in action. It's like we're in action around him, like we're going to help him basically. And
It was
I
his
just
first off-world mission, right?
Yes, and
Yeah.
it's like a time that you hear about in lore books and you're going and experiencing it, you know, and it was like a hard fight. It wasn't this and I was curious if you felt that way, Wilson, because to me, I was just kind of like, oh, I'll do this short mission that Destiny Bungie missions always are, just this little short story thing, you know, and it was like I'm in there soloing this for like a good while, like trying to stay alive, and like you got Saint 14 watching you, and you like want to perform well because you want to impress Saint 14.
I
you
actually
know?
did feel that way. I was like, dude, I'm not going down, because he kept,
Yeah.
he says some really cool shit. Like, he's almost like a Crucible announcer sometimes. He'll be like, 2-for-1. He reminds me of Zangief from Street Fighter,
nice.
the big Russian dude. Like,
Do we know who
like
voices him? Is it anybody cool?
I
or
don't know, but it needs to be known.
know.
We need.
It
I feel
needs
like
to
we
be
need to
known.
look this up. But like,
It's really good because while you're doing
phenomenal.
it, you get hyped. Like Wilson's saying, like he's like a
Dude.
Crucible announcer, and you're like, and he's saying stuff like, "Where did you come from? How did you learn to fight like that?" You know, and he's impressed by you. And then the next week, he like remembers you, and is like you're the one, you know, because you're jumping in and out of time like the stranger basically, and coming in and out of time with him.
well, I like that your ghost was.
Him.
I like that your ghost was like, I probably shouldn't show you this. It's never stopped
Yeah.
this before, but this is the future of the great safest, or the last city on Earth. You know, people don't sleep with a shotgun in their hands with their back against the wall. They sleep comfortably at night in their beds, and like during the day, children laugh in the streets, and like, you know, it's something worth fighting for. And like, it's crazy that one of the most influential people in all of Destiny lore, especially for Titans, is inspired by us as the player and the feats that like we've accomplished and things. We're the ones that persuaded him to keep fighting. And rolling into this week, like when you go, like, granted you are in a space that you've been before, but it's really cool. You run in, and it's the Vex took his light for a moment, right?
And this is something we've heard about in the lore for a long time, is that this is how Saint 14 dies. The Vex creates something specifically targeted to his light, and that's why he dies. And we go and fight that thing in the moment, like where he's supposed to die.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's like a twisted it's like fates intertwined. Like, we're helping him out like during his darkest moments, and like at the end of the fight, the big like gate lord detains you in like a Vex field. So like me and my two, you know, people that were in my fire team, we're sitting there suspended in the air, and this gate lord's about to put the beat down on us, and all of a sudden you hear that familiar sound of sentinel shield being popped. And it was almost like a combination of like a Titan smash with the hammer, or with the shield rather. And
like Thunder Crash, but with the Sentinel shield.
Yeah, it was super dope. It was a very cool moment of like, we rescued him, now he's rescuing us. And like, it's like the whole, I don't know, like time travel, like if done correctly, can be a very cool thing. And I feel like they're doing it very cool in this one. For now, like it's really hard to make sense of time travel, and I feel like this is the simplest way to like do things and still like make like an impactful story. But when you're getting ready to roll out, your ghost,
this is what I was gonna say,
reminds us that like time. Go ahead, Lego. That why don't you go ahead?
No, I don't remember what the ghost said, but I just remember what Saint 14 said.
Well, that
oh
time works differently in the simulate, you know, in this particular Vex network or something around those lines. So
quantum realm.
We're gonna bounce, but it's gonna be 100 years for you. You know what I mean? Like, we're not gonna, like, in what you're going to experience, like you're not gonna see us for 100 years. Like, we're gonna roll out. And so anyway, basically, like, we leave.
Well, that's when,
go ahead and say the line, Lego.
Yeah, that's the coolest part, because like as you're leaving, it like slow motion, you see all these Vex appear, and Saint 14 turns around like in slow motion with his shotgun, and he's like, "What's a few more years of killing the Vex?" And you teleport out as he faces like 100 Vex showing up, and you're like, "Dude, that was insane."
It was
that
very
was amazing.
cinematic. It was very it was very cool to see him, like the Vex spawning in. They all had the high ground as well. So all the Vex are spawning in. You're like in this canyon, and they're all, it's just a very shitty situation to be in. Yeah. And they all spawn in, and like even the Vex almost kind of respect that moment of like they all spawn in to like show their numbers and not like necessarily just start attacking right away. So it was kind of this like face off of Saint 14 and this like horde of Vex or whatever you want to call them. Like, it was very cool. And then, of course, the cutscene where he steps out of the portal, punches that goblin in the face.
Yeah.
Or no, he throws it through the portal. It gets up, tries to go back through the portal. He punches it in the face, steps out, dragging another goblin by its leg. So he's beating up on one while pulling another around by his leg. And just absolutely proceeds to like destroy and dismantle these Vex. And a Gate Lord comes out, and we get the typical Saint 14 headbutt kill. So they're, you know, on the Vex, there's like the juice box on their stomach, their weak spot.
Yeah.
He takes the dead hobgoblin, wraps it around the Minotaur, and uses that as leverage to headbutt that juice box and break it. And it was very cool. It's big in the lore, very true to the lore. That's why there's the dent in the helmet in the first place, was when he killed some big Kell. I can't remember from what house, but was basically like his rise to fame. He was out of ammo. The only thing he had left was a headbutt, and he like exploded that Kell's head. It's pretty cool that they kind of stayed true to the lore.
It's so perfect, dude. Like, seeing the way that they show him not Saint 14, really, like becoming Saint 14, and you're kind of like along for that ride through different time periods, it seems like. And now we're to a point where I guess Saint's back. We're not really sure yet what's going on because he hasn't really showed up for us to talk to him yet. But like Osiris is like, you know, you did what I couldn't do. Like Osiris didn't think this was possible. And to be at a place in Destiny, and this is what's really cool about this moment and this season and what's happening right now. We're at a place where previously you read about the Grimoire, you read about these things happening, you're like, these are the famous people who did these famous things in Destiny, and those are the famous things that are changing the course of Destiny. But we don't really like change things in Destiny. We're just kind of players in it. Like Oryx would be one area where like we really did change something. Riven was the next big thing. We're like, okay, a world actually changed because of us. But these actions here, like, we brought a legend back and get to see a new chapter in his existence that we've only read about, like, and seeing that legend come to life. It feels like an entirely new thing for Destiny, and it's something that I think Bungie said really well in, I think it was the TWAB this week, or it was either the TWAB or a thank you, like from the Dawning sort of thing. But they were basically like, you know, this is a year where, you know, players are changing things in the game now. Like, you are the legend now.
You're creating
and Saint
new
kind of
lore.
Acknowledge that. Yeah, you're creating new lore.
Maybe, you know, and this is all like not hypothetical, but not gonna happen. But like in the future, you know, maybe other Guardians will be reading about your triumphs. You know what I mean? Like, so to speak, instead of you reading about all this awesome stuff that happened when you weren't around.
I mean, we've done some pretty crazy shit. Some people better be reading about us.
Yeah,
for sure.
At least get on that social media and let people know what we're doing.
That's what's cool is Osiris recognized that too. You know how last time Osiris was kind of like a punk in the last DLC that everybody's kind of bummed about?
He's still
and
other
people have been that way too. Now when you go talk to Osiris, like, he's kind of like, it would be you who did this, you know, like, you
yeah,
were
he talks
the
about
one.
Saint 14. It's weird because he talks about him growing up. So I wasn't aware that Guardians aged. And it's not like they remember each other from a past life, because you don't remember your past life when you get resurrected as a Guardian.
Yeah.
Anna Bray was just lucky that her freaking state ID was attached to her clothing still. But he talks about something about growing up, or maybe he means like growing up as like a Guardian, not like maybe he means it figuratively. But he's like, he always talks about the Guardian that inspired him, and he's like, I should have known it was you, you know. And they said that like Osiris gives you a look of like almost like kind of smiling, you know what I mean? So like he's kind of coming around and stuff. It's really cool. I agree, Lego. The story, I hate to say that, like, I wish this kind of stuff was in the game sooner, like even all the way back to D1. I think you nailed it when you said instead of reading about it, it's cool to be living it.
Yeah, that's what it feels like now. Yeah.
I saw somebody tweet, I don't even think it was someone I follow. I think it was just one of those, you know, couple people liked it or whatever, so it showed up on my feed.
Yeah.
But the gist of it was like, it was a tweet like to Bungie, and it was like Bungie very paraphrase here, like, just FYI, like, the way you're doing the story right now, keep doing it, don't stop. If you keep doing it this way and can keep it up, you're going to be heavily praised by the entire community. Yada yada. Like, it's like very excited, like, that they were doing a good job.
Yeah,
people want to feel like they're making an impact. You know, they want to feel like what they're doing is changing the environment that they explore day in and day out with their friends, you know, family and loved ones and stuff. And whereas we didn't really have that before, it just kind of felt like we were just kind of doing stuff to do it, and there was no repercussions.
It's also cool to see Saint 14's story arc of, like, if you read some of the lore that came out before Season Dawn came out, you could read about Saint traveling through basically like the wilderness, gathering, trying to save people, and the story about his ribbons that he has on him and stuff, and like how he tells these people before the city is even there, like, there's going to be a gathering of people under the Traveler, there's going to be like this great city, and everybody's like, no way, we're never gonna make it there, even if it's true, you know. And then you realize that you're the one who told him that all this was gonna happen. Like, just all those things coming together in these missions was really cool. Also, Wilson, I wanted to get your take on, because I felt like this, you know, we talked about that first mission, I felt like both of them were longer, like bigger missions than I thought they were going to be. Like, they were like, I need to devote like time to like take this in and travel the corridors of time like I wanted to all last week. And, you know, it was like, I think that whole, like, there's different sections of the missions and they all have this great story component, and there's actually NPC interaction throughout the mission. Yeah, it's impactful. Like, just great missions, like really the best like I've seen from Bungie.
I agree. I definitely took my time with them. The people that I were playing with were on the same level of like respecting the comms during a cutscene sort of thing. Yeah, you don't want to like so everyone like muted up during a cutscene and things, and so it was really cool. When it is something impactful and you do kind of want to take your time with it and kind of enjoy it. I'm really hoping there's something more next week. I know we can't get something every week, but like it's so cool, man. I really enjoy it. I know a lot of people are probably like, man, it's just story, but like the story is what immerses me in this world. If I didn't have any sort of attachment to, you know, story, lore, and what we're actually doing here, you know what I mean, then I don't really think I'd be playing the game, you know. So
yeah, absolutely. I really hope that next week, like, even if we don't get like some big story mission, I would love to see some scene of like, even if it's just like Saint 14 in the tower or something, but him like being in the city for the first time or something like that. I don't know if he's been there already in past time. I would think so.
So with the amount of fan service that they've given us, I shouldn't call it fan service because that just makes it sound, that's kind of undermining it or underselling it in my opinion. But I'm going to use that for lack of a better word. For the amount of fan service that they've given us with Saint 14, because it's kind of a question for all of you guys. I don't know if you can come up with an answer right away, but what other person from the lore would you like seen given this kind of treatment someday? You know, like for me, I would like to see like Toland enter in whatever form that he would enter in. I think it would be cool to get a little bit more like behind the scenes peek at, you know, last season we got Eris. We got to know her a little bit better, I suppose. Probably better than we did in D1. Now we're getting to know Osiris and Saint 14 a little better. Who would you guys like to see?
See, I'm gonna say a Hove answer real quick, because I never normally do this, because normally I'm like, oh, I want to speculate, I want to imagine, you know, but honestly I could have never guessed. Like, I know I'm a Titan main and everything like that, but Saint 14 stuff like never like gripped me, other than like Bife's video like explaining like him headbutting the Kale and all that. Like, that was cool, but it wasn't like I really want to like meet this like person or anything like that. Like, I didn't feel that way. And so honestly, I would just like Bungie to keep doing what they're doing and surprise me and give me characters that are impactful or meaningful, or like, you know, different than the characters that we have now, or have some special, like, this is their thing, like he's the you know, lawfully good, you know, and have like someone that's lawfully bad, you know, like Spider is a really interesting character like that, you know. So there's nothing that I want to like necessarily like imagine. I just want Bungie to just keep doing what they're doing this season, because I had no idea that I wanted Saint 14, and now that he's here, I'm like, he is epic. Like like you were saying, his voice lines and stuff, they almost sounded, I'll get into it in a second, but they sounded like something else, and I was like, oh man, like it gets me so hyped. But Triton, Hove, y'all can give an answer.
I'm not real sure. I mean, I guess I would have probably said something similar, like, you know, whatever they're doing is fine. Let's get a reality show going with like Brother Vance though, or something like that. Like a real, is there like a real story behind there, like a day in the life of Brother Vance? Like, does he?
Oh, that would be good.
Is it like
it'd be called
40-year-old virgin? Is that what his life is like?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, the real world. 6 NPCs picked to live in a house.
Brother Vance is always a dude that doesn't do the dishes. Everyone hates him. Always trying to figure out why everyone hates him.
Yeah,
I like this.
He's the tag along.
I'll tell you why everyone hates him. But no, like, I'm gonna kind of go off of your question a little bit, only because like, you know, you said like what person from the lore type of thing.
Or anything. Yeah.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like from the lore, like, I don't know, because you know most of the lore is like past stuff, things that have happened, and like I don't want them to keep doing like, oh, well, we're gonna go into this time travel. Like it just would seem repetitive. But I'd like to see. But if we did, I don't know how we would do it, but I would, even though Bife's done a great job, it would be really cool to see some of the Last Word and Thorn stuff play out in game, whether it's flat, do you know what I mean? Like flashbacks or whatever, just to see kind of some of that stuff.
Little Shin Malphur, Dredgen Yor.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we've seen the story or heard the story, but to see it in game, I think would be really cool.
And we've even seen like conclusions of it too, with how we got the last word in Destiny 2. That kind of stuff was pretty cool. That whole how you get that and everything. But
like,
I know it's
even the shootout, like when they had like the showdown and like all that kind of stuff would be really cool.
That's true. Totally agree.
But I don't know, since we already know the whole story, like I don't know how they would go about doing that.
Yeah.
But true. I think it would be cool to see some more Zavala stuff, whether it be kind of him progressing as a character and maybe starting to kind of bend the rules a little bit or something, or even kind of his even though we saw him kind of, you know, dying all those times early on, if it was something that kind of showed how he became this like super stoic and super straight and narrow, like what made him like that, like did something happen? Because I mean, they could make something really cool that would kind of give you the idea, like cool maybe maybe
he chaotic good at some point in time.
Maybe he was like a real fucking outlaw, badass, like, you know, fire from the hip, do whatever the hell you want, and something really tragic happened, and that's why he's so like, this is how we have to do things for the good of the city. Do you know what I mean? Like maybe something really interesting happened to him, or an evolution like from here on out.
Yeah, I agree with the evolution from here on out. I think he's pretty, since the Cabal invaded, like that really freaked him out. So like he's even more like, we need to hunker down and defend the city, you know what I mean? So I think it would be really cool to see him go from being a lawful good to like maybe chaotic good, like an ends justify the means sort of.
I mean, even if it's not really drastic, but just to see some, because we've kind of, in a way, kind of compared him to almost like early Captain America, you know, where he was very like, you know, by the book and really good. Yeah. Whereas then, you know, Wilson, I know I'm speaking Mandarin to you, but like where, you know, Captain America ended up kind of like doing his own thing and breaking the rules because of what he thought was good instead of just, this is what needs to be done. Like they could do a lot of cool things with a character that's so boring and straight and narrow.
You know what they could do with him, and they have the perfect setup with how like stern he's been the last few seasons, especially with Anna Bray and then with Cade. Like those two things where he did not move on issues that everyone wanted him to move on, and he was just like, no, I'm protecting the city. That's my only thing since the Red War. Like, what if Saint 14 comes into the tower and like the next big thing kicks off for next season, and it's this big threat, and Zavala is like, we're not going to help with it because city reasons, and Saint 14's like calls him out on it, like in front of everyone. Yeah, and he's like,
my dad was the speaker,
like a coward, you know, like just like yelling at him and like and finally like Zavala, something like snaps in him. Like that would be an amazing storyline to see two like super, like they're both good for good things, but one's like straight and narrow and one's like following his heart, more so like Saint 14.
I'm just hoping Saint 14 can keep it together. It's a different world. The place has changed. I mean, I'm not saying like it's a different world that he's not going to like it, but I mean, imagine basically entering a new timeline for the first time. It's got to be really weird. Like the city's here, everything's different. A guy that you used to call father was killed by the Cabal in the Red War. The speaker, the speaker called Saint 14's son. He called him father, even though like it wasn't his father and son. It was just more like a figure of speech, like you're a father figure, and like, hey, you've always been a son to me, kind of thing.
Dude, what about like because Saint 14 doesn't know, right, that the speaker isn't.
I'm imagining this, like, so we saw that cutscene of him coming out of the portal. I imagine, like, this week of us not seeing him, like, he's going to be taking all this in. He's going to be exploring, catching up on history.
That's kind of what I meant earlier.
Yeah. Figuring things out. So I'm wondering next week if he has to mention it, right? Something about the speaker, right?
Dude,
like,
here's one more scene that I would love to see play out. Hove, you were talking about scenes you would like to see that, like, that was something that happened. One thing that I haven't heard of happening yet, maybe it's happened like in Crucible related lore entries before, but I would love to see like if Zavala and Saint 14, like somebody like that, like Clash or Ikora and, somebody else who has a hard time with each other. Like them having an argument and like Saint 14 just pulling out perfect paradox and like blasting Zavala in the face.
Oh,
and
God.
Being like resin, because they can come back to life. They're not gonna die.
I don't think that gives you the right to just.
No. I know, but
it's like the Crucible.
That's a thing. Like if somebody is having an argument and it's like brutal and they're like super into it, wouldn't that be like the ultimate offense to like kill someone that would come right back?
Okay. So that was a thing. Okay. It was a thing. Yes, it was a thing in Destiny. It was back when we were all clinging to clans and scavengers, and we were the quote unquote. It was the original Iron Lords. Like we were all tribes, and tribes of Guardians would go wipe out other tribes of Guardians. It's like Fellwinter, like killed some huge Baron Titan. Like he killed him, and as his ghost was resurrecting him, he took his shotgun and killed his ghost so that he.
Oh, well, that's a little different.
No, I'm just saying, like, I know that is, but like, I mean, it's still like barbaric in a sense.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, something that I want to see is Hunters need a new Vanguard, dude. We need a Vanguard, and I don't want to rush it for the sake of things, but all I'm saying is somewhere in this series of amazing storytelling that they're doing, I think it would be cool if maybe we got a Hunter Vanguard.
Yeah. Or even if Zavala stepped down and Saint 14 stepped up for a bit, I'd be cool with that at this point. I feel like they have to do something with some of these characters, like Zavala, or else
that's what I'm
gets
saying.
boring.
They could kind of take, like, kind of both things I was saying. The more I think about it, they can make that into one story. Like, you kind of see whatever happened to make him like he is, and then maybe some parallel thing is happening where he realizes, like, he needs to act different, and he kind of breaks from his...
Or they Quentin Tarantino it and they show him snapping, and then they flash forward to the events that happened first.
No, I like Hope's idea, because then it's like, you could have interactions with relationships like with him and Ikora, who have known each other for a really long time, and she knows something that's like happened to him in the past and can like bring up that whenever it's happening and bring it like remember when, whatever.
Yeah, maybe he did decide like, oh, this person's fine, I'm gonna go do this thing because I want to, and then it turned out something happened. He was too busy doing his own thing, and someone died, or I mean, you could do a million things. That's a very basic, like, I'm not a writer. But no, I think that would be cool.
There's so many possibilities right now, and I think the point is, though, is this season is making us dream up of all these things, because they're doing such a good job with Osiris, especially in my eyes, like redeeming Osiris as a character. Not that people hate on him in general, but just we had a bad taste in our mouth from the last time it was around, and it's just all going really well. And like,
speaking of like a speculation type question, not that this would take a long time, but like, I'm sure they tweak things as they go, regardless of the answer to this question. But how far, with how expansive everything has come lore wise, like past lore, future, all this different stuff, how much of it do you think is already out there, and how much are they writing as seasons go to match content? Do you know what I mean?
I think we actually
goes.
get a view of that. Before Shadowkeep, there was that Vidoc, and you can see the dry erase board behind them.
Right.
And they have, it was like 5 or 6 fucking seasons that they had out. They didn't obviously have all the names of them on there. They had like placeholders and stuff, but I feel like
right, but I mean, as far as the actual base lore that's going to happen in those seasons, do you think they're doing it as they go, or do you think they still have this whole, like, this is, like, maybe they already know what happened to Zavala, or maybe they already know what's going to happen? Like, how far do you think, like, you think they're I don't want to say making up as they go along. That sounds
I bet it
unfair.
Depends. Because there's some pivotal story things that were like, we're going to have this character make this turn, you know, later on down the road. But there's not like, there's specific things that you know they're doing on the fly because they have to for game development reasons. Like one of the people who made Last Wish or was designing a boss for it, you know that boss didn't have lore yet about what it was because I remember him talking through the process of designing the boss, and they had to like create him based off of his mechanics. And so then the lore had to come after that because there was no way that they would know.
But I mean,
beforehand.
just for a specific instance, Saint 14 has been in the game, at least lore-wise, since the very beginning. Do you think that they had some idea that, hey, he's lost in time or whatever, he's going to come back? Or do you think it was Saint 14 is a legend of the past, he's dead, and as the story evolved, they were like, well, you know what, we could bring him back. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I think
they
that's
probably leave a lot of those doors open.
Yeah. I think they're setting us up for a Game of Thrones season 8, when the darkness comes back and a lot of people die. Is what I think is happening. I think that if the game kept going the way it was with lack of story and continuity, if the darkness showed up and a bunch of these characters died, we wouldn't care. You wouldn't feel anything. There'd be no meaning to it. You know what I mean? So I do feel like we're getting invested in all these people because shit's about to go down when the darkness comes back, and I hate to say it, but not everybody's gonna make it out of that fight. They could pull the biggest shitstorm ever, and at the very end of Destiny, like, that's it, we lost. Sure, you can continue to play your activities and stuff and do your things, but like, there's nothing else coming after that. Like, we lost. That's it.
Sabathun gets the gauntlet, snaps her fingers.
Yeah, it was all a Vex simulation. You're all still in the Matrix.
Hey, real quick, Hove reminded me about things that like are set or not set, and some of the voice lines that Saint 14 gives that you were saying sounded like a Crucible announcement sort of thing. He could announce some kind of mode, maybe Trials like mode, and it would be amazing because when he's yelling like double down 2 for 1, like it sounded like an
animal.
Yeah, I was like, am I playing Trials right now? Like, is that what these lines are for?
I think that's why I was getting so pumped up, was because it almost was like,
yeah.
And I know there's a lot of people speculating about it, that a lot of people think that some of those lines will be used in Trials, and I guess like it could make sense that if Trials came back, that like Osiris is like, look, dude, me and like 1,000 of my projections got shit to do. You know what I mean? Like I can make an infinite amount of myself and I still have shit to do. So like you need to take up on, maybe like this is your calling to like inspire other Guardians to like do their best or something, like as you were once inspired to do your best, or I don't know.
Yeah. Two things. One, wouldn't that be a cool new subclass or some perk for a Warlock to do a projection like Mirage from Apex?
That would be cool.
That would be pretty cool. And then two, with the Saint 14, remember a long time ago, I was saying how Drifter is such an amazing announcer for Gambit. Like, I wish I enjoyed it more because I love when he's like, whoa, you got all of them. You know, you're like, dude, that is the kind of person I want announcing Trials, you know? And Saint 14 is that person. Like, that is the kind of like enthusiasm that I want for that kind of game mode. So if
oh, sorry, go ahead.
I could see it happening. That's all. That's all I'm saying.
Best Drifter line though is when I'm playing my female Titan and he goes, "Looks like you woke up on the wrong side of the bed today." I'm like, "Oh no, you didn't." Just
my favorite is "Look at you, a little baby Oryx" or something like
that. Real quick, just I don't want to say off topic, but you mentioned Trials again. Did you see there was another thing somebody tweeted today, said treat it with caution, but update 2.7.0.0 added 2 new text strings with a new hash ID, both saying Trials of Osiris.
I did hear that. I didn't know if it was confirmed, like that for sure came from the code, because I didn't know the person who tweeted that.
So this is data mining, right?
Yeah.
Okay. They don't really. That's the whole thing.
That's kind of weird that, like, because they caught on to that in D1. I don't know if you guys remember that. They kind of started putting placeholders in for things.
Right.
So it's kind of weird. That
it's not too weird because we already have an in-game accident where you can get a trials card like thing to show up, and that is for sure in-game. Like people have replicated that and everything. So if that's there, that juicy trials leak content.
Juicy trials. I'm like Tom Petty. I will not back down until
dude. I know, but this trials content, like whenever a leak comes out, it drops like a truck. That's all I'm saying.
That was one of the. That was like one of the few times that it actually made sense in conversation. I'm really proud of you, actually.
Yeah,
thanks.
Not bad.
Not you, Lego.
Oh, you.
No, you didn't hear Wilson. He said no, like with all this stuff. Like
Mine
I'm
was
like,
good too.
Oh, I didn't.
It was.
What was yours? I didn't hear it.
I said when that trials content, leaks, it drops like a truck.
But that wasn't. Yeah, it's not your phrase.
Oh right, dumps like a truck. My bad.
You're
Lego.
Dang it! I lost word insertion this week.
I'll give you some
You
insertion.
automatically lose. Like you're out that week if you said the wrong word or if you got the phrase wrong.
Last week we talked about we had an awesome debate on trials having some sort of a price to entry in one way or another. Ran into my first hacker on PC.
All right.
And guess in what game mode, guys? Just guess.
Wait, hold on. You ran into your first
in-game hacker, and guess in what game mode? Now, if you were to risk it
competitive,
all,
no, elimination.
Wrong.
For sure, elimination. Yeah.
Wrong.
Gambit.
Wrong.
Patrol.
What is it?
It was in Clash this week. Just quick play, basically.
Clash.
It was an aimbotter, and let me tell you why it was an aimbotter. Because I ran into their spawn, caught this guy with his mouse sensitivity at like 10.4 billion, and he was jumping into the air, and I can't even multiply 360 times however many times this guy was spinning around to give you a number. This guy would move his mouse, and I'm kidding you not, probably rotate 360 degrees like 10 to 15 times before he hit the ground. Whilst doing that, he was just running around the map doing that, jumping in the air and spinning and just sniping people in the face. Just boom, boom. Oh, 1800 degree no scope.
Sounds like he's just. It sounds like he's just really good.
So then,
I've seen.
We looked at his profile. The account was made that day.
Yeah.
He was using an Aachen LR2, which is a blue sniper rifle. It's the first one you get with Snapshot. So this is exactly what I'm talking about.
But Wilson,
when there's no risk, you could just create an account, go into it, cheat, get your rewards. And like this is what I fear, basically. Like there's.
But how much time have you been playing Destiny 2 on PC, and this is your first hacker ever to encounter?
It is, but it also goes back to the point that I harped last week of put a set of armor for every class and one weapon of every type in there. Like it's gonna be more prevalent. And maybe you're right, Lego. Actually, you know what? Maybe you're right. Maybe even if they don't put a price
Don't
to entry,
you agree with me,
maybe
Wilson?
I'll never see one, but there'll be a lot of people who will.
Yeah, no.
Right.
It's interesting. I just thought it was interesting. I thought when you were talking last week, I felt like you were talking as if you'd faced a lot of them, and I was surprised to hear that you hadn't faced one yet.
This was my first that I ran into in person, not just on social media from somebody.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, because social media is one thing. You'll always hear something, but to experience something yourself, that's the reason I feel like we have a podcast a lot of times, is because you hear like all these opinions, and then our experiences are so different. And so it's interesting is all. But I still think it's a valid
We'll see what happens. I don't want to bring up that whole we talked.
Oh no,
about
we're
this,
done with it,
yeah,
and we're
I just wanted to
We've already all agreed that nobody's wrong.
No, we are in disagreement.
fuck up, Hope. You're wrong.
Triton, you missed that one, man. Whew.
It was good.
Basically, we had a debate, and I was like, "Look, I don't want to come off like an asshole here, and like I'm."
And then everybody's saying fucking kumbaya for 10 minutes and said, "Oh, I understand your point of view. You might be right." No, you might be right. Oh, I definitely not. I don't know what I was thinking.
It's a bit exaggerated. All right, there was a little bit of jerking each other off for like.
Listen, me and Wilson are always like that with each other. Let's be real. Like,
I know, that's the point.
Are you jealous of?
No, the
Yeah,
point
I know,
is
that's
we
what
don't
I'm
need.
I'll give you
I'm
attention
feeling
too,
jealousy.
man. Like, look, Hope. I know I haven't slept over lately.
So you guys
No.
have, like, this
We'll have a
triangle
sleepover.
jerk or something? Is that what we're saying here?
No, not a tear jerker. That was not the kind of jerking.
No, I
was
said like a
referring to.
triangle jerk. You guys had.
Oh no,
was it-
Hope had no part of it. He was being a
Oh, okay.
sourpuss. I guess it was just all me and Lego apparently.
Lego's kind of like, I don't want to be a part of anything with jerking, and I just really want to back out.
It has
Like,
nothing to do with the fact that it's you too. It's just the fact that it happens. God damn it, let's just disagree on something.
well,
I disagree with you right now because Kim in chat totally says that you're jelly, and she's viewing in from the outside. So that's a perspective that I think we should respect.
I'm gonna fucking
so
boot you
hey,
again.
I think that's pretty much it for the story stuff. This week, there's not much in the TWA, but I wanted to talk for a second about those new weapons that are out. Wilson, you talked about the grenade launcher. I wanted to talk about something they mentioned in the TWA. There's a error going around with the Earth Obelisk where you can't access it, and it is happening to me, and I'm very frustrated because I can't access. Yes, I can't get in.
Have you tried reloading your instance?
I reloaded. I went to orbit. I came back. I swapped characters. I went in again. I haven't turned off the game yet.
Try this. Go on your PlayStation.
Okay.
Turn your date back like 3 days.
Okay.
This is what I used to do for farming on console. When I'd get pissed off, like I would load up an escalation protocol and all the thrall come out. And I'm trying to work on a catalyst. And some fucking hero comes by and pops his super and kills all the thrall because he's quote unquote trying to help. Yeah. Okay. So what I would do is I would set my
You're an
date.
asshole.
It happens to everyone. Don't lie, dude. It's happened to you. You've been in the middle of something and some dudes come in. I'll save the day, and you're like, thanks, dude. I had it.
Wasn't Destiny though.
Right. Set your date back 3 days, and you will be the only person to load into an instance.
Okay. I'm gonna try that after this podcast.
Just make sure you tell me when you do it, and I'm gonna set my date to exactly the same, and I'm gonna come in with my super.
Wait, is this the way we were supposed to be matchmaking in Destiny 1 for 1v1 this whole time?
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe you are onto something there, Lego.
Yeah. We were all wrong. Well, anyway, so the whole reason I bring that up is because Earth, I'm pretty sure, Wilson, you can correct me, but it has the new scout rifle and fusion rifle on it.
So.
And dude, the fusion rifle, cool guys just put out a video, I think, for it, but it's better than the Air Intel. Can roll more perks than the Air Intel. Has crazy range. I know.
Whoa. Hold the fucking line, Toto.
Wait.
All right.
Y'all just wait.
So, needless to say, it's the Earth one?
Yeah.
Oh, and you can't get into that obelisk right now. All right, you need to try that.
That's called karma. That makes me really happy.
I know, but there's also a scout rifle there, so that the fusion rifle can roll like swashbuckler and like all these cool perks that you couldn't get on Air Intel, and then also the scout rifle can roll like rapid hit and explosion rounds or something like some really good perk combos, and it's like Mida archetype, like 200 RPM. So some really interesting weapons, and they look amazing too. Like that's the best part.
I feel like
quicker to farm too.
I feel like perk wise though, like none of those, they might be really cool to like make different things and play different, but like as far as you're concerned with just like max range kills, you're probably still going to go for the same things, right? Like swashbuckler's not going to help you map people.
But it's interesting because there are perks on there that are for like PvE, and right now I avoid fusion rifles in PvE because they just don't have good perks that synergize with killing.
That's fine.
Enemies.
I'm just saying, like, as far as your big usage of fusion rifles, like none of those like weird perks, like they're going to be more playstyle changers than range and damage.
Swashbuckler is a good one for range, because if you get a melee kill, you get 5 times Swashbuckler, which is equivalent to like 3 stacks of Rampage. So
and
more
if you're
damage
is
technically, yeah, exactly. If you're tight main and you're not punching everything, what the hell are you doing? First of all,
headbutting everything.
But more damage is less damage fall off in the long run. So Swashbuckler is pretty nasty. What is the role you're looking for on it, Lego? Do you know yet?
I have no idea.
Have you got on the dry erase board and done the equations?
Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to light.gg. I'm going to look it up, look up all the perks, and imagine, just dream up some loadouts. I'm going to go watch Cool Guy's video because he apparently has the role that's better than any air intel you can get already. And he showed a clip of like how the range bar on it was almost maxed out. Like it was crazy looking.
I like his videos a lot.
Yeah, so there's some good combinations. And Hove, to your point, I think yes, that would be like my go-to is to go for the same stuff. But I really like the way all these new perks are working, because like a hand cannon, I used to always go accurate rounds, rangefinder, the same stuff. But ever since I got subsistence on on a hand cannon, I say it wrong every time. That's
no,
what
a great
I want.
bit. I love it.
Yeah, and so now I'm thinking about Wilson, what you said with Swashbuckler on a fusion rifle. What if I got that and can get max impact already, and then I'm using my hunter with the throwing knives, and that counts as a melee probably, and so I get a throwing knife headshot.
It does.
Headshot. Headshot. And I get like, so get that going. Give me Swashbuckler times 5, and then like I'm immediately charged for like the longest range shot, highest damage I could get. Like that's some cool loadout.
I feel like there's some really cool shit in there, and you might use it and like it, but I still feel like you're kind of one of those people who likes things to work like I want to be able to just do this, not I need to do this and this and this to make this happen. Like you might like it and use it sometimes, but I feel like you would always fall back to just kind of like.
I could see Lego running in, shoulder charging someone, and because first of all, let's be real, Lego's going to be off somewhere else. All right. So me and Hove are going to be doing the business. All right. And Lego's going to be off looking for special, even though it doesn't drop in bricks on the maps anymore because it's just so ingrained into his mind. So me and Hove are going to be in the business. All right. And we're not going to come through. We're going to actually be
attempting to play the game.
and me and Hove are going to fail. Okay. Unfortunately, it'll be Valiant, whatever. We're going to fail.
Mine. I'm just
Lego's going to swoop in with a flying knee to the face. Proc times 5. The guy that's so far away that.
But he's a hunter now. He's a hunter now.
No, he'll do this. I could see this build. I could see this build with a Titan. Comes in, flying knee to the face, Swashbuckler times 5, Voops the other 2 guys that are so far away they're on a completely different map, and then we clutch the round. And then you badger him for being off looking for special ammo, and then we move on to the next one.
So, Hove, I would say that I used to be that way because for the longest time I ran the OG Air Intel and nothing was better than it. I had the role that I want and I didn't change it until Menagerie came around, and then I got like 50 Air Intels and I played with all of them for like 50 kills each at least to decide which was my favorite. So I'm not
and which ended up being your favorite.
He's like Jay Leno. He's got
Firmly
50
Planted, which I didn't know I liked. I always said Firmly Planted wasn't as good, and now it's my favorite. But my point is that I'm an optimizer, not just I'm just gonna go to whatever is the best. I'm continually tweaking, like.
But still, I feel like Firmly Planted, like that. My point wasn't that you won't change it. My point was just that like even Firmly Planted, that's something you could just be like, all right, I'm going to crouch when I shoot, as opposed to like I said something where I got to get a mid, because I just don't feel like enough times you'll use it and you'll be like, it's really great when you can get that melee kill and then there's a guy really far away. But how often does that exact situation pan out?
Well, that's what I mean. I don't know what all perks are there. Like, I'd assume that maybe there's something that you don't need to do something specific for. Maybe there's something that's just better than, or more, like, even easier to use than Firmly Planted, rather, and I will use that instead. I'm just not sure. I haven't looked at the perk combination.
While we're on the topic of perks right now, I feel like I should throw out a PSA. In your season pass, there's a rocket launcher. When you get to it, do not collect it. It currently comes with tap the trigger.
They fixed it already.
They actually fixed it?
Yeah.
So that was Tuesday, along with the... you know what else they fixed on Tuesday for PC guys? Your graphical settings save.
Yeah.
It's great. Oh man, that is wonderful.
I know this is super off topic and it's not going to create a long discussion, but it made me think of something that I've been meaning to ask you, Lego. When you play PUBG through GeForce Now,
yes.
do I remember you have to go in and change your settings every time?
It's really weird. Sometimes you do and sometimes you don't. I don't know why.
Because their new update saves your settings to the cloud. So it doesn't matter, because I thought, because with GeForce Now, you're kind of connecting to a different PC somewhere all the time, right?
Right, yeah.
So the whole gist of this is, it wasn't aimed at GeForce Now, but like if you came to my house and signed into your Steam and opened PUBG, your settings would be saved to their servers, and it would just, everything would be the way you have it set.
That's nice.
So I'm wondering if that would do anything with your GeForce. That's all.
It probably would. Yeah, it'd probably be a lot better, actually.
Just curious.
Oh yeah, the new one doesn't even roll with Firmly Planted. I'm looking at the perks now. It has no distractions, which is interesting. So if I get shot by someone, my aim doesn't like bolt spread, doesn't go just crazy everywhere.
If you're already aiming down
You have to
sights
ADS for a good 2 or 3 seconds.
Oh, right.
And you're the exact opposite of that.
I am the opposite of that.
Yeah, you would not want that for your playstyle.
Oh, that's weird. There's a trait that's led from gold. Picking up heavy ammo also grants ammo to this weapon.
Have you played with any of the new perks on some of the weapons? Like Vorpal and...
I have a one that's Vorpal, but I couldn't do any... It was a sidearm, so it's like, what am I doing with this, you know?
Right. The one for kinetic weapons that when you do damage with a grenade, it changes the weapon to that element.
Yeah.
Is very good.
Yeah,
Very cool.
I actually, I'm just saying because I don't, you always, I brought that up last week. Osmosis, I like that one.
Yeah.
Because you can get it on kinetics too. Yeah.
That's very cool. I thought that was awesome.
And then the Vorpal one is do more damage to enemy combatants and on vehicles and guardians in their super, I believe. I haven't got a chance to check that out yet, but the sidearm, the Buzzard, has osmosis, and I really like that. I feel like that could be, if you do like a grenade build to get your grenades very quickly, some of the activities that lock your loadouts, that could be another way to squeeze in an elemental weapon. So I don't know. I think perks like that are really cool. I hope to see more of it. Did you guys get the new SMG, the Cold Front?
No, I haven't got that yet.
Oh, you haven't baked any cookies yet.
There's a fucking Cold Front here this week.
I baked one cookie for Zavala because I felt like he needed it. And
Did you give him his present?
Yeah, the
Did
Galahorn?
you open the one in return in your inventory?
Oh no!
Wait, are we that stingy? You only bake one cookie at a time? It's not even like a batch?
I think it's a batch.
I was gonna say that's pretty fucked up, man.
I think it's supposed to be a batch because it says Gallard Doodles.
Oh,
like,
okay.
Plural.
All right, that's fair. That'd be real shitty if I showed up and was like, "Here, Wilson, I baked you a cookie."
If it's like one of those
I'd still be appreciative. I'd be like, "Yo, man,
thick,
thanks, dude."
icing on top sugar cookies, like one of the big ones. That's like
sugar cookies are worth anything. Sugar cookies are the most generic, stupid cookies.
I don't care. I will fuck a sugar
They're
cookie
so
up,
generic.
Dude. I don't care. I enjoy sugar cookies. Any kind of cookies, thumbprint cookies, sugar cookies.
That's right, Wilson.
See, we disagree on stuff on this show sometimes. There's disagreement.
Just food, Triton.
Listen, Hope is he has an opinion, okay? And he has a right to voice that opinion.
We're on a motherfucking podcast. We're all supposed to have opinions.
Okay, then what's your favorite cookie
for this week, right?
Nancy B's chocolate chip cookies.
Oh, and chocolate chip cookies aren't the most basic bitch cookies.
Nancy B's.
Nancy B. I don't care if it's Nancy Drew.
Right?
They have, they have peanut butter in them, and they have, just because they're called chocolate chip, Wilson, don't judge a book by its cover. All right.
I'm googling this. I want to know right now.
It's a bakery by my house, so you're not
Nancy Drew chocolate.
No.
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 What was it? Nancy what?
Nancy B.
Just the letter B.
Yeah.
Something else I wanted to cover. Another Team Resolute thing. True Vanguard put out a video this week that kind of confirmed, Hove, something you said last week about the new Dawnblade changes for Bottom Tree, and how we were talking about how I didn't like the feel of it at first, and I was like, I feel like I need to get used to it. Like and you were like, it has a high skill ceiling. That was something that we wanted, in Destiny. And TV kind of confirmed, like at the beginning of his video of talking about like the changes and how he's loving it, but like you can't just do it and just hit these crazy clips. Like he said it has the highest skill ceiling of any class in Destiny right now. And I thought that was really cool to have him kind of confirm those feelings of like, man, this is really difficult, but I'm seeing people do awesome stuff. And it's awesome to have a class that really rewards you for mastering it. So I thought that was really cool to hear his thoughts on it. And so if you're looking to master the Bottom Tree Dawnblade, check out TV's video. It's really informative, really helpful for me with the new dodge and all that stuff. My only question, if someone can @ me at Lego LE Flash, what like jump do you use for Warlock to go fast? Is it or when you're flying around?
Focus burst.
But focus burst, if you're flying in the air, focus burst is just a short burst at first, right? And if you're consuming a grenade and trying to float around in the air and move fast, I feel like you have more control if you use the control burst for that class in particular. I don't feel like not many people are talking about the kind of jump to use for that class, and I want to know.
I just told you.
@ me.
Okay, hold on.
Okay. I'm going to retweet it.
Sorry, I was muted. If you wanted to commit, like if you're worried about like once you commit to a jump not being able to recover from it, probably directional. If you're not worried about recovering from a jump, then just burst glide.
Okay.
Burst glide is faster.
Is that what it's called now? Burst glide?
I think so. I don't know, dude.
What did you call it? Thrust glide?
No, it used to be called focused burst, I think, but that might have been in D1.
Thrust glide.
I just thought that would be
That's
what
Hope's
Hope's mind
Warlock.
went to. Yeah. That's really all I got for this week. I don't feel like the Dawning had one smaller thing. I don't know if I talked about it last week, but there's some freaking awesome emotes and finishers in Eververse right now. And I still got leftover silver. A lot of it's coming that's the big thing I was going to say. It's kind of like public service announcement. But if you're thinking you want some of those emotes and stuff that's in the store right now, go look at the name of what you're interested in and go to Bungie's Twitter, and they announce every week like what is for sale for silver and what will only be for sale for silver and what might be available or what will be available for Bright Dust later on. You can kind of figure it out between the lines. So one of the I really want the emote of where he takes the blade and like sharpen like getting the blood off it almost off his arm, and it's available for any class. And I was like, dude, I want that emote. Like that'd be such a good end of game emote, when you finish the round. But right now it's only for silver, but I know because Bungie didn't say it was only going to be for silver, it'll be available for Bright Dust later. So if there's something you're interested in, go check it out, because they released the Dawning, all the stuff for that, which one's going to be only Bright Dust and which one for silver. It's definitely worth checking out.
Hell yeah, dude.
Nice.
My favorite emote to use right now is from the Halloween event where you throw down the tombstone.
The grave, yeah.
Come up. So you can totally space out 3 of them. So like in elimination or something. Yeah, you can space out 3 of them and have 3 of them. So
That's
totally done that in like survival or elim. Wipe the team, like pull a clutch move and throw down 3 tombstones.
Nice.
You know how you can combine emotes? You know what's still my favorite emote combine is doing the where you raise your fist up, like this, but you can get the you can get the chicken emote, petting the chicken emote.
I was just gonna say that, dude.
Yeah, and then you raise up the bird.
I like the one where you dab.
So good.
Are you fisting the chicken?
Yeah, it's what it kind of looks like. So when you dab, the chicken, your hand is like up in the chicken. Like, so that's my favorite one to do is the chicken. But it
looks like you're giving
dab.
people the bird. Is kind of what it looks like.
By the way, burst glide. That's correct.
Burst glide. Okay.
Mm.
I mean, that's the name of it anyway.
But yeah, what my favorite finisher right now, though, I mean, I like the headbutt one, obviously, but the ice skating finisher is pretty cool.
Oh, no.
Dude,
that
it's
one,
pretty awesome.
That one's a little ridiculous. I guess I like it for its ridiculousness, I suppose.
I like it because it's so fast and it looks like it hits hard and it makes like a little ice noise when you hit him. And I was like, ooh, that's
as
cool.
As long as they keep doing goofy finishers.
Yeah.
As long as they continue to like maybe every season have one goofy over the top finisher. Otherwise, if they just keep doing a bunch of serious ones, that one's gonna be really weird and stand out in like a really weird way. So
I know you go and headbutt someone, and then you uppercut them, and then you ice skate them.
Yeah, all of a sudden it's freaking blades of steel. You know, like you're on the ice, like
chicken fisting.
Name of the episode.
Is that the
Probably
is that the title of the episode?
It's in there. It's up. It might be up there. Top
might
3.
be illegal to name it that.
Anybody else have anything they want to cover before we head out?
No, man.
Did we talk about the TWAB?
Yeah, there's nothing really
except for
there.
we did talk about the SMG.
I mean, Iron Banner's coming, right?
Yeah, do we want to talk about that?
We don't have to talk about it, but I mean, it's in the TWAB. We can say Iron Banner's coming.
So there's
Iron Banner's coming. There we go.
So the disappointing thing about Iron Banner. So there was one thing that everyone was looking forward to with Iron Banner. This is worth talking about. You're right, Hope. Iron Banner is coming back next week, and it's like, or next week, is that right? Yeah, I think so.
Sure.
And everyone was like, okay, there's no new armor coming. You can just get armor 2.0 of some older stuff. And everyone's like, well, is there going to be a weapon? Because they showed off a bow in the picture from last week. And so I was like, oh, a new Iron Banner bow. And then they announced in the TWAB that, sorry, the bow wasn't ready yet. It's not coming even this season. So there's nothing new, basically.
It's a bow, and it's not Wish Ender right now. So, you know, like, Wish Ender is so broken. Like, just use it until they fix it. Like,
yeah,
it's amazing.
I don't really care that much because it's like you can still go get the pinnacle gear. Like you'll still get high if you do the quest. You'll still get high level, high stat gear from doing Iron Banner. That will be worth doing. Go in there, get your Obelisk kills for the gun this season. It's gonna be full of those Obelisks, but that's about it. Like I'm not really here nor there about it. It'll just be like if you're looking for high level gear, there it is.
You think that's why it's not ready? Because Wish Ender's broken right now, and people would be like, why the hell would I give a damn about this bow?
I think they might have just been like, this is only one thing, and it's not really that exciting. Let's just save it for when we can put it with more exciting stuff.
Fair enough.
I don't know. That's the feeling I get, anyway. There's enough going on. Maybe there's a cool story thing next week. No one's even going to be talking about Iron Banner.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like there has to be something to wrap up.
Yeah,
down with that.
I'll give you something to wrap up.
I'll give you something to wrap up. This has been RezoCast episode 163. Thanks for joining us. And if you're wanting to get in on the conversation and join us in game, join us on the Discord. Link is in the description of everywhere the podcast is published. You can also find more about RezoCast at RezoCast on Twitter. You can find more about me and at me about your Warlock moves at Lego LE Flash on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. Hove, where can they find you?
Twitter and Twitch at Hove76 for both, and YouTube, I guess, too, Hove76. Why not? Well, I don't know who's next, man. I don't like deciding.
You gotta choose.
I don't have to choose shit.
Triton, where can they find you?
I chose last week, and I was wrong.
Hey, no. That's my line for picking the jump point in PUBG. I picked last time.
No, I really did. Last week I said, Triton, you're next. Will said you're not allowed to go till Triton goes.
Him and Marcus are finally catching on Lego. They'll be like, all right, I don't know whose turn it is to pick. Wilson picked last time, even though the inside joke is that I never pick the jump point. I always just say I picked last time.
See, Hove doesn't do any of that. He just says, I don't want to pick, and then he switches on Apex, whoever's turn.
Oh, Apex I don't pick. PUBG I pick a lot, but I did, when Wilson stopped playing, I did take his, I picked last time for a while.
To be fair, it was our thing, because for the longest time I only said that to you. So.
Oh, I never knew that.
It was our thing, so it's not like you stole it. You just kept it going.
It's like baking me
now
one
we're all
cookie.
agreeing again. This is great.
Oh, God.
Let's do the kumbaya real quick. Well, I guess I kind of chose. Maybe Hove kind of chose. So thanks for listening to 163 Chicken Fisting. We really appreciate that. Great episode, guys. You can find me on Twitter at Triton Please, all one word. The please being PLZ. You actually may find me doing some Twitch under the same name. I was thinking about streaming some Magic the Gathering Arena. Actually, maybe doing that. I just have to talk to the guy that did the PC build to make sure that I can do that. Been fiddling a little bit with the OBS, so maybe that'll work out. And you never know. Could also do the a Destiny one as well, doing just probably mindless quests. But
I think you'll be fine. I don't think Magic is very graphics intensive.
No, I don't think it is either. So I think I should be able to do that. So yeah, I may start doing that. And yeah, where can they find you, Wilson?
You can find me on Twitter, Ryu Wilson. That's RYU Wilson. Merry Christmas to all the listeners, because Christmas is Wednesday, right?
Oh, so, yeah.
Yeah. Merry Christmas, everyone. I hope Happy Hanukkah, whatever you may or may not celebrate. Happy holidays. Me and Triton will be in Discord tomorrow morning playing some Destiny. If you guys are a part of our Discord, feel free to hop in and say hello.
Oh, I was gonna say maybe I'll be there, but it's gonna be PC, isn't it?
We might start if Triton's available on Friday
mornings.
Triton
doesn't have it downloaded.
No, I'm saying if Triton is available on Friday mornings, we might start making that our thing. So that way people can hop into Discord and say hello. And
wasn't Triton also supposed to download PUBG so we could have PUBG RezoCast nights?
Well, also make sure to join the RezoCast Discord before tomorrow. So make sure that I join it. No, I'm in that already, so I'm good. No, wait.
But, I'd like to say thank you, everyone, for listening, and Merry Christmas.
Yep, Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, everyone.
Chicken fisting.
Until next time, chickens up. GG.
Peace.
Bye.
Toothberry.